Uh, all right, so that's probably enough time for people to show up. There's always a few who kind of come in a bit later, and that's all right, um, because we record the session and give it to everyone anyway. So we'll get going. So I'm Justin. I work at the Institute for Evidence-Based Healthcare at Bond University on the Gold Coast in Australia. Well, I think I said it's 6 p.m. and winter, so chilly. Well, chilly for us. So this session's scheduled to go for an hour. Um, it's a pretty packed session, so it's always about 3 or 4 minutes over. I'm going to do my best to actually get it 3 or 4 minutes under this time. So I'll just give a bit of an intro to myself. So I was a health librarian for a long time ago, back in my youth. Um, I then moved to a research position here at the Institute in this university, where I got engaged in doing systematic reviews a lot more. And I also started to build some automation tools. I then took over and I run the automation program here, in the automation team. So basically all of the tools and software we'll be looking at, I've helped build, develop, design, test, evaluate. So everything has been built here by us, basically. Um, Let me see what else is important. Yes, it's being recorded. So this session gets recorded. We then make this session, send this session to everyone. I don't think we put all of them, but some of them go up on YouTube, um, so that other people can also benefit from these webinars. The actual workshop itself comprises of me talking for a little bit right at the start, which includes me talking now, for maybe about 5-10 minutes, and a couple of slides. Then all the rest of the session is me demoing all of the tools live, which is always a bit fraught with peril. We had some construction work going on here last week, and I think they dug up one of the network pipes. So things got a bit scary, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully it all runs smoothly tonight. So basically I'll, give a bit of an intro, a bit of a chat about stuff, then just live demo all the tools and show you how to use them to do all of the different things. Finally, questions. If you think of a question, please put it into the chat as you think of it. I know that I myself always forget whenever I'm kind of doing something. I think of a question, and if I wait 30 seconds, I've completely forgotten. So please, if you have a question, put it into the chat box as you think of it. Now, as I say, this is a very tight session, and I don't have time to answer questions during the actual workshop. But at the end of the workshop, after I've demoed the last tool, I'll then pause, stop, and I'll then go back and I'll start answering all of the questions. This goes over the hour, so those people who don't, want to listen to me waffle on and talk and answer all the questions, just here to see the tools in action, can log off. Those people who do want to hang around and listen to the answers, also very welcome to. You can also then ask more questions, either by popping them in the chat or just coming off mute and asking me directly. So I guess that's about it, really. And I'll get going. Cool. All right, so this session's automation tools to improve the speed of systematic reviews or other types of evidence synthesis. Before I get going, I do not work in isolation. I work with these four super talented computer scientists, who do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to actually building these tools. I tend to focus more on usability or helping with design and making sure they're fit for purpose. But these four are very talented computer scientists, who kind of develop and build everything. So Matt, I've been working with for a very long time. Connor, who now has moved into and does the generative AI work, I'll talk about in a little bit. And Tian and Irene, who are a bit more recent, but they do a lot of the heavy lifting of keeping everything up and running. So I always like to just put their faces up. I don't know, in case you see them in the street, you can give them a salute or a wave or something. Computer scientists don't get out much, so they don't get that much credit for their work. So I just like to always make sure they get the much deserved credit they need for the fabulous work that they do. All right, so evidence synthesis task or systematic reviews. For those of you who don't know, I'm guessing most of you probably do know, since it's probably why you're here, because you want to know a bit more about using tools to do them. But there are 6 basic tasks you need to do a systematic review or any type of evidence synthesis, sort of. You need to write a protocol. So the protocol is the menu or the recipe, sorry, not menu, the recipe you're going to follow to do your review. So you kind of write out upfront what you're going to do, then hopefully you follow that throughout your review. Then you need to find some studies. That's usually done by a search of databases. You go off and you put a search into PubMed and a couple of other places and you grab some studies. Then you need to select some studies. So after you've searched databases, you'll have a set of studies. Not all of them will be relevant. So you then go through and manually sift through them, looking for the relevant ones, which is called screening. After you've screened the studies and you've decided that found your ones you're going to include in your review, you then need to extract the data and assess the quality of that study data. Normally you assess it through risk of bias, but there are other mechanisms to assess quality of studies. Then you need to synthesize that study data. You can synthesize it by putting it into a meta-analysis, or you can synthesize it narratively, e.g. just writing a description and kind of summarizing it and trying to group it all together. Then finally, you need to write the actual review itself. And that's it. 6 steps, pretty easy. That's the 6 basic things. There is a lot more to it than that, of course. So we've highlighted these, and I'll show these are kind of covered in one of our tools. These are all the actual smaller breakdown of tasks that go into those 6 basic things. I won't go through them because if you come back and watch the webinar, you can hit pause if you want to read them in great detail. But I think there's about 31 different tasks you actually need, smaller fine-grained tasks you need to do to go from no review to published review. This is the Evidence Review Accelerator. So this is our suite of tools, or our platform, I guess, where all of our tools live. That's the web address there, tera-tools.com. I'll be going to it live soon. Before I do, though, this is a very, very important take-home message, or a very important note to always think about when you're trying to use tools, maybe not just even ours, other people's tools. These tools do not replace the need to have people who know what they're doing on the review. A review can, of course, always have novices or people who don't really know what they're doing who want to come and learn. But you need skilled people doing systematic reviews or synthesizing evidence. You need people who know how to actually do it properly, how to design a proper search, how to get the methodology right, how to extract and synthesize data. So you need skills and skilled people to actually do the review. These tools are only there to help people use those skills in a more efficient manner, not to replace the need for skills altogether. So if you've come here hoping that you can press a button and your entire review will get done while you wander off and watch funny cat videos, I'm afraid that that's not there yet. Maybe one day, but not yet. And I think that's about it. There's a few other slides, but most of them are pretty boring, so I'll just ignore them all and skip straight to TERA website. So this is TERA. Let me think. First of all I'll probably mention this. So those of you who've just logged on or maybe haven't used it yet, wanting to learn how to use it, we're rolling out a significant upgrade or patch on Thursday, the 31st of July. So that's in 2 days' time. So if you are going to use it, I highly recommend you wait till Monday before doing anything real, because we are rolling out a big patch which has usability improvements, some code optimization to make it run a bit faster, and a few other things to go into it to just improve quality of life when using the tools. If you're desperate to get started, go ahead and start using it, but otherwise I recommend waiting till Monday. That way we can make sure all the bugs and any hot fixes we need to roll out have also been applied. We've been running training. So TERA's been up and available since May of this year. And we've been running training and doing search sessions and workshops. Most of them online. We have put them all up online as YouTube videos. So the first one, TERA Overview, is basically this webinar I'm doing now, but I think this is what I did 2 months ago. The other ones are more in-depth workshops that we ran, which kind of cover a lot of details and more details about doing reviews and integrating the tools. So I highly recommend going and watching those videos if you really want to get a thorough understanding of doing reviews and the best way to integrate automation tools into that process. Finally, before I move on to actually using TERA, this is what's called a freemium model. So you have either a free access, so you can create a free account, or you can subscribe to TERA. At the moment, we're in early access, so it's, well, probably very cheap and a lot cheaper than it might be in 2 years' time. It's 10 Australian dollars a month. So those of you in, I think this is a European friendly time frame, I think. I think it's about €6 a month or 100 Australian dollars a year, which is probably 60 euros a year. The only differences between the free account and the subscription account is that with a free account, you can only create and run one project at a time. And you can only have the Gen AI screening tool screen 1,000 articles for you per month. If you subscribe, you can create as many projects and run as many projects as you want. You can also have the Gen AI screening tool screen up to 10,000 articles for you every month. So I'll talk a little bit about the Gen AI screening tool when I get down to it. It's about the 7th Mecha screener, which I think is the 7th or 8th tool down. So they're the only two differences. You can create as many projects as you like, and you can screen a lot more studies using the Gen AI screening tool. If you have a free account and a subscription account, doesn't matter in terms of joining other people's projects. And I'll show you how to join in a second, but you can join as many projects as you like. Doesn't matter if you're free or subscribed. And that's it, really, I think, for all of the stuff. So I'll get into some of the project management stuff. So obviously I've been using this for a while. I've probably too many projects. I should probably delete some. To get started with TERA, there is a create new project button up here. If you're new to TERA, this will be blank and this button will be here. Just hit create to get started. Give your project a name. This helps me make sure I don't get overloaded with workshop type stuff. We support a few different project types as well. So then select your project type. We are in the beta version or beta testing or beta version of a protocol writer for what's called a clinical audit study. It's something more done by doctors based in hospitals who kind of audit some sort of clinical pathway in their hospital. So if you're doing a clinical audit study, you can click on that and hit create new project. And that will create a clinical audit study and load all of the clinical audit tools we have available, which is a protocol writer. As I say, we just started to move into supporting clinical audits. If you're not doing clinical audit, we support a few different trial types. If you click randomized trial, it loads up all of the randomized trial tools we've got, which is a protocol writer. It's a pretty good protocol writer for doing trials, and a couple of stats tool to help you with your stats, and a reporting tool to help you with reporting your trial. Primarily, though, we focus on helping with evidence synthesis, so systematic or scoping reviews. So if I click on scoping review, it will load up all of the scoping review tools, which is we have a scoping wizard. So this is to help write a scoping review protocol. Most of the other tools are the same. I'm going to switch though to systematic review. That then loads in the systematic review protocol writer and all of the systematic review tools we have available. You can give your project a name, of course. You can give it a short project name, which is quite handy because whatever you put up there is then the name that gets put up in the sidebar, and you can write out a project description if you want. You can invite other people in via email. So if you click invite people via email, I think I will invite my good friend Matt. You just type in their email and hit send. This then sends Matt a link, and if he clicks that link, he will join this project. So Matt will have an account. If you don't have an account, it will prompt you to make an account before you join. So you can only join projects if you have an actual account in TERA. It can be a free account. If you want to invite more people, over time, as you kind of work with more and more people on more and more projects, you will build up this project list of all of your collaborators. So instead of having to type people's email in every time, you can go, I might invite myself, and I can now just send myself an email. That's my other account. So that's a good way to invite people if you get tired of having to type emails all of the time. So that's kind of it for getting started, inviting people in. To kind of do most things and use most of the tools, not all, but most of the tools, you kind of need a set of references or a set of files to work with. That's where upload files comes in. So I'm going to upload some files. So we support all file types, I think, now. So any sort of reference file type. So if you go to PubMed and do a search and you export an NBIB file, if you go to Ovid Medline and export the Ovid Medline search results, a .cgi or a RIS from EndNote or a text file from EndNote or an XML, you can upload any of these file types. I'm just going to upload an XML file of references. So it'll upload, it'll process it, and it will understand that it's references. You can click on it, and it displays a big list. I think you can click on them again, and then you can make edits, and if you really want to. It's not just references. You can upload anything. It's a good place if you want to store maybe your search strategy. You can upload Word docs, Excel files for your data extraction, or PDFs if you want to store, your included studies or other things. So it's not just references. You can upload and store any file you like. To get started, before I move to the first tool, which is Review Wizard, there's also this history of everything that you've done, which I'm not sure why you would want that, but anyway, if you are really keen to know what you did maybe 5 years ago, in 5 years' time, you can go and have a look. So that's kind of getting started, inviting people, using files, uploading some stuff. Now I'll go into the Review Wizard. So Review Wizard is our first tool, and it's a tool to help you write the method section of your protocol for your review. So as you might have noticed, we got multiple different protocol writers or wizards, as we call them. They're all pretty much the same. So I'm just going to do Review Wizard, but the Trial Wizard for writing randomized trial protocols. Very similar. The questions are a bit different. The output's a bit different. But theoretically, it works pretty much the same. First of all, give it a title. It'll, as a default, give it the title of the project. I don't really want to delete this. I tend to use blue light to treat acne as my default. Again, you can give it a short title if you want. People. So then you need to add people to your study in order to assign them tasks, and you need to actually put people on. So I might add in Paul and then Sharon, and then Mark Jones is another one of my excellent colleagues who often helps with things. So this is for authors. This is for people who are going to go into the acknowledgement section. So also this is a living document. So, maybe at the moment, at the very start, you don't know who's going to help you and who needs to be acknowledged. It's fine. In a year's time, when you're finished, you can then add someone new to the acknowledgement section. We then have a review plan. So the review plan goes through every single task involved in doing a review. As you assign people to each task through the wizard, it will put their names in here. You can also just add notes yourself as well if you like. So for instance, you might want to say first meeting. So if you like keeping notes, which is not a bad idea, as you're progressing through your review, you can put them here into the review plan, and it'll just keep track of different things. When you finish different tasks, which is the one bit I like, you can hit the tick box to say that this is all now done. If you don't want to use the online version, you kind of like the look of it though, but you're an Excel person, you can download it as an Excel spreadsheet, and this will then download that whole research plan just as a Excel spreadsheet with everything kind of filled out and all the tools. And as you add people, it will add the people, and then any notes you might have made will also come down and be downloaded. Introduction. So here, the introduction, we don't do much to help you here. We provide a bit of guidance, which is usually they're 2 to 5 paragraphs, and describe what it's all about. We then give you an example. So this is an example from our blue light therapy review to kind of help guide you through what an introduction should look like. That's it. We don't do any more writing for you. We expect that you'll write your own introduction and copy it and paste it into this box. So this box is just because it's a good idea to have your introduction and your methods. And also this now starts to write your results for you as well. So it's just a kind of good way to keep all your writing together, but we don't help you write your introduction. We have no plans to help write introductions in the future either. Although we do plan on creating an abstract writer to help write abstracts. We don't plan on using anything to help you write introductions. Where we start helping you write is here under the methods section. So we have a bunch of basically places for you to input information about your review. Then after you've finished inputting it all, you hit a button and then it will write a pretty good draft of your method section for you. So I'm going to go, this is blue light to treat acne. So this will probably be people with acne. Intervention, blue light. And then you can put in an example, say light. I think it's nanometers. I'm not a physicist, so I'm sure those numbers are wrong, but you can put an example. Comparators normally usual care. Any outcomes you're interested in. Setting, this is normally sort of community. But for every single one of these options, there's also an add button. So you can also add something else. So maybe a secondary outcome you're interested in would be reduction in antibiotic ABs, which is antibiotic prescribing. You can also add exclude. So down here, you want to exclude anyone who's currently hospitalized. Pick what study types you want. Again, you can put in, if we haven't listed them here, you can put it in. Maybe you want to put in non-randomized. Studies as well. You can just add it in. So you can always just click other and add in anything you like if we haven't thought of it for you. And it's a matter of just filling out the rest of the questions. Now you say, well, I guess I can do the search. I'll do it using this sort of stuff. Synonyms and search filters is pretty common. Whether or not you used any automation tools, I tend to use them all. Whether it was peer reviewed, restricted by publication type, which I generally don't. Restricted by language, again, I generally don't. Whether you did a backwards forward citation, tools you might have used to do that. Then for your search strings, you go, well, I'm going to search PubMed, probably Cochrane and Embase. I'll run my search on tomorrow because I'm really keen. Then you can copy and paste your search strings into these boxes. So as you pick these databases, these boxes pop up. So at the moment there's 3, but if you go, you know what, I'm going to do CINAHL, the CINAHL box will then pop up. Any trial registries you might search. Again, you can put in the search strings for them as well. So there's one I've pre-filled, which I'll come back to in a sec. But for study screening, you can then pick who's screening, and then as you select people, the number will autofill for you. So 2 people have screened. I guess Sharon can get full text. Her and Paul can screen them. Whether you did resolve disagreement by referring to third author or consensus, any tools you might use. I'm not going to go through too much more detail, but data extraction is a good one to spend a little bit of extra time on because it can really help if you spend a bit of time working through the data extraction selection here. So maybe you might pilot your study on 4. Sharon and Paul can extract data. We recommend you pre-specify the data that you will be extracting. So for instance, we recommend you specify what you're going to extract. We've already pre-identified a bunch of the very common stuff that you always extract or very commonly extract as part of a review. So things like study authors, year, study design, duration of follow-up, very common to extract them. Number of participants, age of participants as well, type of intervention. But in this one, you might click other and maybe wavelength of the intervention might be important. So wavelength of the bulb used compared to usual care. You can copy over. So we filled a bunch of outcome data in the Pico section. If I hit copy, it will just auto copy and auto fill this for me. And then it also auto selects the types of studies I said would be included. So the good reason to do that is if I now come down to data extraction forms, if I click on data extraction forms, what it'll do is it will start to create a data extraction form of the data I'm going to extract later. You can extract directly into here if you like, and there's ways to add more columns and more rows, or you can just download it as an Excel spreadsheet, which I still tend to do. I quite like Excel. And it will actually create a draft data extraction form for you, with headings in there and kind of the types of data that you're going to extract already kind of pre-filled. It just helps you get your data extraction form going, which can save a lot of pain down the track if you get a good data extraction form designed now. Same thing for study outcomes. It will also start to put together the study outcomes that you'll be extracting as well. Again, you can download as an Excel spreadsheet, but I won't do that a second time. As for the rest of the data, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, sorry, the rest of the stuff you might put in. Risk of bias. 2 people do that, though. Tool you use, if there's one in here you use that we don't have, hit other to add it in. How you'll measure effect, what meta-analysis software you'll use. Generally, individual is your unit of analysis, whether you're going to go and look for missing data, how you measure heterogeneity, how you measure, or if you'll measure publication bias, any subgroup analysis you might do, where you register your protocol. Hopefully, eventually, you should register it. And then, oh, that's new. And whether or not you want to cite us, hopefully you'll leave that ticked yes, but I guess you can go no and it will disappear. But I guess if you hit that, it will put in the citation to cite our tools. And this is something that we've added quite recently that I really like. It's author contributions to the study, which follows the credit credit statement or credit guidelines. So it seems to be the one most commonly used by publishers whenever you submit a manuscript. They ask you to fill out a credit as to who did what on the paper. So these are all directly lifted from the credit guidelines, I guess, or taxonomy. So, for instance, I might do that. Paul might have done some of that. Sharon probably did quite a lot more, but anyway. Then what it will do is it will actually start to output and write the author contribution section. So JC, me, Paul, PG, and Sharon conceptualize the study. It's just a really handy way of getting your study contributions or author contribution section written. Because to be honest, I always hate that because I always forget, and then at the end of the study, I have to do it, and it's kind of something I'm a bit over it by then. Similarly with acknowledgement, so we've got the three common things that happens that people get acknowledged for. So maybe Mark quite often provides help with stats and help with a draft of the manuscript. And again, we would like to thank Mark Jones for helping our review. If you're wondering what these little things are, these are comments. So as you go through, you can add a comment in for that section. So I don't know why you want to comment from Mark, but every single one of these, so maybe subgroup analysis, you could say a little comment. So this doesn't get produced or doesn't output it in your actual method section when we write it. This is just for your own notes, but you can just put comments through the methods review wizard, just so maybe when you come back a bit later, you understand or remember, helps you remember why you might have made a decision. And then when you're done, you can come down to, so yes, the review plan, which was back up the top, you can see it started to put into the names of all the people. I think you can also just type them straight in as well. But the whole point really is when you come down to the method section, you can hit generate output and you can see the introduction's empty because I haven't written the introduction or put it in, but we start writing from here downwards. So all of this is automatically written based upon your inputs. Now, this wasn't a great one, but hopefully if I go to what I pre-filled out earlier, let me see, hope this is the one. Yep. So you can see I've put in a lot more work and a lot more effort into writing this one. If I go down and hit method section and generate output, you can see there's a lot more there. Search strategies are in there, for instance. And that's pretty much my method section written. If you don't like it, you can hit rewrite methods and it will rewrite it for you slightly. So we don't use any generative AI or large language models here to help write it. This is all stuff we've written. We've just put a randomizer in, so it kind of randomly pulls from pre-written sentences. That's kind of why it has that slight rewrite. That's why it looks slightly different, but it's just random selection from sentences that we've written. So that's the review wizard. So copy this using that, of course, or just highlight, Control C, Control V, pop it into a Word document, then read through it, edit it. We can't and never plan to get this perfect, by the way. We can't. I can't imagine there's any way to get it perfect. So normally, but it should be about 90% right. So it shouldn't take too much work to then kind of revise it and patch it up a little bit to get your method section finished for your protocol. So we can now design a review and have a protocol written in 1 to 2 hours using this tool. So that's it for review wizards. So that's the one that takes the longest, by the way. If you're wondering, that's one tool. There's another 13 to go and only 23 minutes left. Review Wizard is a tool that takes the longest because there's a lot to it. So I'm then going to start running through the rest of the tools, and I'll also speed up a bit. So say if you want to know more about all of these tools in a lot more detail, so for instance, I'm about to start going through the search tools. Come down and watch Workshop 2, Creating a Search, where I go into a lot more detail about using them to create a search. So I'm just going to kind of brush over them and skim over them and give you a bit of a feel for how to use them. So the Word Freak tool is a tool to help you get a search started. So to help you design your search when you've got no search at all. So when you do a search and do a review, generally you'll go off and you'll find what are called seed studies. These are pre-identified articles or studies relevant to your review. You look through them, read through them, see the types of words that are in these articles. Then you use these types of words in your search. I used to do that with a highlighter, I think, or Excel as well. I don't do that anymore. I just upload the seed studies here into the WordFreak tool. Then I think if I find one with 10, I import them. This will then go through and it will count the number of words and assign them a score based upon how often they appear. The unique column is how many of the unique articles that I uploaded does this word appear in. So I uploaded 10 articles. It appears in all 10. The patients, for instance, appears in 9 of them. How many times does it appear in the title? How many times does it appear in the abstract? How many times does it appear in the keywords or the mesh term fields? Normally that is. And it gets 70 points. So acne is a pretty important word. You should probably use it in your search, which is quite obvious if you're searching for acne, blue light to treat acne. So all of the common words you probably could think of yourself tend to be at the top, but you'll see things like LED, maybe is a word you might not have thought of. Lesions, again. And as you go down, then you just go through and you start to group these words together. And by group together, I mean, so for instance, you might put acne up the top as one of your terms. Then treatment you wouldn't probably use. It's a bit of a pointless word, but then you might use blue light as another one of your search terms. So, and then put ors between them as you look for new and different words to put into your search. I'm not going to go through this a lot, but for instance, you might then put LEDs next to blue light, and next to acne, you might put lesions or something else. So you go through and you group similar words together, put an and between different words. So that's kind of getting going with word frequency analysis and the word freak tool. So the next tool we have is to help with finding mesh terms or subject terms. If you're a professional searcher, these tools are not really, this meshmate tool is probably not going to help you very much. It's more for maybe for people who don't really know what a mesh term is or a subject term is. What you do is you type your word in and hit search. It then goes off and it's hopefully searches the mesh database or the PubMed. It's got an API into PubMed. So it'll search PubMed for you and it will say the term you should use, the mesh term you should use for acne is actually acne vulgaris. So if you click on it, it adds it down here. You can copy it, add it to your search, and it tags it nicely so that it's actually tagged with the proper syntax to run it as a mesh term search or a subject term search in PubMed. So that's what meshmate is for. So say I've run this session for search experts and they quite rightly say, well, it doesn't really help me very much. And they're right. It is more for people kind of newer to searching who need a bit more help and a bit more guidance around identifying subject terms or mesh terms. The next tool we have is a tool to help with search. It's called Search Refiner. To use Search Refiner, you need seed studies and a PubMed search. So you need the PubMed IDs of seed studies. So these are 10 seed studies. So these are 10 studies that I know or think my search should find. So I'm going to put them into my seed PubMed IDs box here. So PubMed IDs are unique identifiers to articles in PubMed. So the articles have to come from PubMed for this to work. Then I get my PubMed search. And I put this into my search query box and hit visualize. So again, this goes and it runs an API directly to PubMed. And it will run the search in PubMed for me. It will run the search. It will also tell me how each of the different words performs and how the search as a whole performs. So this top box up in the top right corner up here, these are all the important numbers that you need to keep your eyes on and look at. So 14,102 total citations retrieved is how many citations does this search find in PubMed? So 14,000 is a lot. 10 relevant citations to find is how many PubMed IDs did I upload? Or how many seed studies did I say this search needs to find? I said it needs to find 10 of these seed studies. E.g., there are 10 seed studies in here. That's that 10. 10 relevant citations found is how many of those 10 seed studies does this search find? It finds all 10. So this search is great in terms of finding all the evidence, terrible in terms of finding way too much irrelevant evidence. So the idea is you then zoom in on different components of your search and you see if there are words you can take out to refine your search and improve what is called the precision of the search. So you're trying to reduce the amount of irrelevant studies this search finds. So if I zoom in on blackheads, you can see there's a number here outside of this bracket. 57 is how many citations does the word blackheads find in PubMed just by itself. The number in the brackets, so the 0, is how many of these 10 seed studies does the word blackheads find? Finds none of them. So if I come around a bit more, pimples down here finds 162 in PubMed, 0 relevant. Whiteheads, 174 in PubMed, 0 relevant articles. It's also got a lovely little physics engine that sits behind it, which I always like to play with. But I won't play with it for too long today. So the idea is you try to remove words here from your search to try to reduce this 14,000 number. Now, as a bit of a hint, the bigger the box and the thicker the line, the more citations it retrieves in PubMed, so the more impact it could have to your search results if you take it out. So I do this search a lot, so I kind of know what to take out. So I'm just going to strip everything out that I think probably should go. So I'll take them out and all that out. Hit visualize again. So this reruns and updates the search for me, and it tells me how the search is now performing. So now this search is a lot smaller. It's also now only finding 960 citations instead of 14,000. So that's 13,000 citations stripped out that we no longer have to manually review, which I don't know what workload that is. It's about 3 or 4 weeks work, maybe a bit less. But it's still finding all 10 of our relevant citations. So it's still performing really well, and we've just substantially reduced the amount of work we need to do to screen the search results. So that's Search Refiner, good tool for helping refine a search and reduce screening workload. So once you've got a good PubMed search or possibly a good Ovid Medline search, you normally take that search and you convert it, translate it, so it can be run in a few other different databases, normally Embase, Cochrane Central, Cinel, PsycInfo. We have a tool that will help you automatically translate the syntax from one database to all of the rest. So this is the Polyglot Search Translator tool. It's been around for a very long time and is used a lot. So I won't go through it too much, but the version in TERA is slightly different from the version out in the old SRA, so our old platform. Basically, it's just got a lot more databases now. So we have a lot more coverage. For instance, Lilacs is now in here, HTA database is in here, and we even put in our first business database because we've got a good friend here who works in the business faculty. So we added it in when she asked for it. I'll just cut that out. All right, so what you do is you take a PubMed search or you take an Ovid search, you paste it into this box. Then you come down to whichever database you want and you're going to run it in. I'll just get the Cochrane one, but maybe if you want the Embase one or the Web of Science basic one or advanced one, and then you copy it out, you can just use the copy to clipboard. or highlight and Control C. I just head over to the Cochrane library. So I need to go to Advanced Search in the Cochrane library, then the Search Manager. Oh, you see, I did this last week. I haven't been doing much searching recently. Put it in, hit Continue, and that's my Cochrane library search done. You can do the same thing in Embase and all the other databases, but there's one thing it does not do. It does not automatically change a mesh term to an entry term or a SynOut subject heading or a PsycInfo subject term, whatever they're called. You still need to go and make sure that this word is right. So you still need to go and make sure that the acne vulgaris, which is the mesh term, it also is used as an entry term in Embase. And you do that by looking up the entry database, yep, in Embase, same with SynOut subject headings. So you need to go and do that. So say, I'm not going to go into it, but just that's the one thing it doesn't do. Just make a mental note, perhaps, that you still need to go and make sure that you're using the correct subject terms across all of the correct databases. The reason we don't do it for you automatically, well, it's basically the publishers asked for a lot of money for us to be able to use their automatic lookup systems. I think Elsevier said it would cost at least 100,000 US dollars for us to incorporate their automatic lookup. So I don't have $100,000 spare. So that's why, unfortunately, this last thing you still need to do yourself manually. So when you run a search in all of these databases, there's a lot of overlap. You end up with a lot of sets of duplicate records in your search results. You need to get rid of those duplicate records before you can start screening. You do that in the deduplicator. I'll just clear this. So, you combine all of your results. You can combine them all in TERA. I think you can click, I don't want to combine too many, but I think you can click a couple of buttons and you can hit merge, and this will merge your files together into a single file, which you can then use a bit later. That will refresh, by the way. Or you can combine them in EndNote and then just upload them directly. So if I go to back to Duplicator, I'll put in some duplicate records. I think this has got them. So that's 1,500 records. We have two algorithms you can use to duplicate. There's a little pop-up question mark, which tells you when you should use them and when you shouldn't, which one you should use when. I'll tend to stick with relaxed normally, but I'll use focused today. So focused means you've got to kind of focus on the results a little bit. It's going to detect pretty much every duplicate, but it'll make a couple of mistakes. So you'll need to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes reviewing the results just to pick up the few mistakes it makes. Relaxed version means, you can be pretty relaxed about it all. It won't make any mistakes, so you don't really need to review the results, but it will miss some duplicates. So there'll still be a few duplicates left in the result set that kind of you might have to pick up during screening. So if I hit deduplicate, it will hopefully deduplicate them. So the extremely likely pool, if you've never used any tools before, our tools, anyone's tools, I always recommend check everything. But I don't check this one. This is like a 99% plus likelihood ratio. It's a duplicate, so I don't bother checking them. Highly likely is about 90% plus, so I don't check these anymore either. But if the deduplicate has made a mistake, it will be here in this likely duplicates pool. So just go through and check this pool. So you can see here there's a trial record. So this is a registered trial record of this study. This is the publication. So this one's not a duplicate of these three. So just hit not dupe. It then moves it out and it puts it in the not dupe pool. This one here is a set. So these two are duplicates of each other. These four are duplicates of each other. So I need to split this group up. So hit split group. So I just select those two and go OK. and it will split them up because these are the conference abstracts of that paper. So these now have been split up. So it'll delete one of these and 3 of these now. You can always pick which one. I don't really bother, but if you want, you can go through and decide which one. I just keep it all auto. Whatever deduplicator decided to keep, that's the one I always go with. But you can manually go through and review every decision and say, you know what? I actually want that one instead. Then when you're done, hit save. It's a good idea to hit save every now and then on the tools, unless you want to lose your work. By the way, the tools will auto-save every 15 minutes. But I recommend hitting save every now and then. When you're ready and finished, hit save results. You can also hit save progress, which saves progress. This should save a file. Yep. But I'm just going to save results. I'm going to save the deduplicated results, which is 984 results. And this will then save them into, I've probably got a 1,000 called this. This will then save these 904 results into TERA. I think if I find somewhere in there, deduplicated 100, 984 results. These are then the results you'll go through and you'll screen. To do screening, we have a manual screening tool called Screenatron. And in the interest of time, I know I said I would come in short, but we'll probably be finished about 3 or 4 minutes past 7 again. I don't know how to get it down and lose 5 minutes from this session, but anyway. So to screen, you just put in some references and you start screening. We've got some quality of life things that help. So we have hotkeys. So things like spacebar will screen for exclude. Left arrow, I think, screens for include. Our response time's really fast because everything's state saving, and then I won't go into it, but then uploads. So it's all being saved. Again, just hit save every now and then, or save progress if you're going to, stop work for the night and come back to it the next day. If you want to change the hotkeys and the colors, there's lots of things you can do here with editing the group. There's a progress bar. You can put include keywords in like laser, and then laser will be highlighted blue. And maybe you don't care about dermatological stuff, although I don't know why you wouldn't. But if you put in derma, you can see that will be highlighted red as an exclude keyword. The other great thing it does, you can also screen by voice activation, voice command, which I won't do, but it's pretty neat. You can also do some searching in any field you like. I actually tend to quite like searching maybe for things like blue light in the title. This then means all of the ones that have blue light in the title, which are the ones more likely to be includes. I can screen these ones first. And then something similar maybe with rats, which there's no rats, but then all the ones maybe with rats or mice in the title, more likely to be excludes. So I can kind of, go, well, these are all going to be excludes, so I know that I don't have to pay too much attention. So it's got some neat things in it like that. So Mecha Screener is our AI screening tool. It's still in beta mode. At the moment, we've run some evaluations on 10 studies here, which we're going to run some more later, but it seems to safely screen out. So it safely has 100% include rate, and it screens out about 50% of the irrelevant references. We're trying to make it screen out more, but we're doing that safely. So we're only going to, have it improve the amount of references it automatically screens out when we still keep it with 100% inclusion rate. So just upload some references, hit continue, fill out the PICO. It does better with a more descriptive PICO. So people with acne is better than just writing acne. Intervention, maybe patients. With blue light phototherapy is better than just typing blue light. I don't know if you need to spell it correctly, by the way. And then type of study is randomized. trial. Then you hit continue and finish. This will go off and it will screen. Well, it won't go off and screen. It should start screening pretty much straight away. I hope, unless I'm out of money. No, good. I still have money. So I'll screen these references slowly for some reason. It's normally a bit quicker than this. Oof. So it's normally a lot quicker than this, but we have noticed quite a substantial spike in users over the last couple of weeks, and a lot more heavier use of the Mecha Screener tool as well. So it could be a bunch of people running it as well. So I might actually be queued up. All right. So done. So once it's finished, if it doesn't have an abstract, there's nothing we can do. We don't make any decision. We just tell you need to screen that yourself manually. So what we do is we put everything that scores 2 or higher on our inclusion criteria into to screen. So these are the references, the 218 references you still need to manually screen yourself. But we do automatically, in this case, auto exclude 339 references for you. So this is very similar to Screenatron. It's got hotkey screening and all the rest of it. Or you can just save stuff, export it, maybe go screen it in Covidence or another tool if you like, if you just want to come here to use Mecha Screener. I'm not going to go through it too much because we're now bang on time and still a few tools to go. So say we're still on track to finish at about 7:05. So anyone stressing? We're not tracking that badly yet. So Disputatron. So once you screen, normally you screen together in pairs. So 2 people screen and then compare their decisions. We have a tool called Disputatron to do that. To do that, you got to put people's names in, the screener's person's names, myself and Mark, and then you select some references that the 2 of you screened. I might put in these ones for myself, and then these ones as well, and then hit submit. If you put in the number, it will also give you things like your, so I'll see if I can do it. I will also give you your coefficient numbers and your agreement rates and other things as well. So the idea is you go through and you can see this one was included by Mark. The 2 of you talk together and you go leave exclude or hit include. This one here, maybe we'll leave exclude, and you just go down the list, hitting show abstract, hide abstract if you like, and make a decision on each one. And when you're done, hit save. In this case, these are the ones that you would then go and do the full text screening for. So that's Disputatron. Spider Site's a tool to automatically do backwards forward citation searching for you. So this is all of the articles in the reference lists, normally of your included studies, and all the articles that cite your included studies. I would get a smaller pool for this one. I just put these 10 in. So it loads them up. 9 were found, 1 was not. I wouldn't really bother doing it, but you can do it yourself manually if you like. The output, there's 184 in the reference lists, which is these ones here. There are 638 that cited these ones. So the idea being you then screen these, I can't do the numbers. 758 references to see if your search missed anything. So I won't do it because I'll queue up and I don't want to queue up for 6 seconds. Basically, you save these, save them in TERA, load them into one of the screening tools. We have a similar tool called TERA. So this will, if you load in some records, again, I'll just put in a couple. So this will load those references and it'll pull out the PubMed IDs for them and it'll run a search in PubMed. If you then hit find related, this will then get PubMed to find all of the articles that it thinks are related to these 10, and it will list them all for me. But very nicely, it then ranks them. And I don't know how PubMed does the relevance ranking, but it seems pretty good at it. So it then ranks them by what PubMed thinks is the most relevant. So then you can go through and see if there's any studies you've missed. Or I commonly do this as a way to find additional seed studies at the start of a review. So this finds 1,244. Don't look through all of them. If something's relevant, I think it's a 95% or 97% likelihood it's going to be in the first 50. So I recommend only ever skimming through or looking through the first 50 if you're looking for additional relevant studies. The next tool is called Calculon. So Calculon's a tool to, if you have some numbers, it will give you the rest. So it's a really neat stats tool. I think, so if you have a mean of 4 for study or group 1 and a mean of 5 for group 2, and there was 20 in each group, and you have a p-value of 0.15, what it will do then is it will then give you your t-test, confidence interval start and end, standard error, mean difference, etc., and total numbers. So it's just a really neat way. If you've got a couple of numbers, it's just a really neat way of spitting out getting the other numbers you might need for your meta-analysis. So speaking of meta-analysis, this is a tool for meta-analysis called Meta Pairwise. Which is very simple to use. I'm not a stats person by any means, and I find it very simple to use. They give you some good instructions here as to how you need to format the data. They give you some Excel spreadsheets you can download, which I think I've got one. Yep. So basically just needs to be in this format. Study, and then the two arms of the study, rate. So it's a number of events, a number of people. So as long as it is formatted like this, you can upload it. So you select your data. So I'm going to choose that Excel spreadsheet. And it will upload it, put the data in. Then if I've got a calculator and I'll run. Then you can also do Bayesian analysis, which I won't do. But you can just hit run frequentist analysis or meta-analysis. And it'll just run the meta-analysis for you on that data. It very nicely has both the fixed effect model and the random effects model on the same graph, which apparently is really cool. I don't know what a larvae plot is, but it does one of those. You can download the forest plot as a PDF if you want to put it in your paper, or a PNG, so as an image. The other really cool thing it does is it will export all of these numbers for you, and then we've got a tool that you can upload and put it into that will then write some results for you from those numbers. So I'm going to download that JSON file, and then I'm going to come over to the last tool. Oh, so that's meta pairwise. Sorry, we have two other tools. That's for doing pairwise meta-analysis. We have two other meta-analysis tools called Meta Insight and Meta DTA. They're for doing network meta-analysis and diagnostic test accuracy meta-analysis. Before I move on to the last tool, which is Replicant, this is a fabulous bunch of tools that our great friends and colleagues at the University of Leicester in Glasgow let us use and put into TERA. They did a lot of work. I think somewhere there is a way to cite them. So Will, Clarice, Janyan, Nicola, and Alex. So yeah, they did pretty much all the work. All we did was put it in here. So the last tool is the replicant tool. So which will hopefully load. Or maybe someone's cut something. There we go. So if you upload that JSON file, which is the frequentist results. So that's from the meta-analysis. What it does is then it pulls out the data and the numbers from that file and it writes the results for you. So it knows there were 9 studies in that meta-analysis or that forest plot. In total, there are 3,245 participants in the forest plot, 1,600 in the reference group, 1,642 in the intervention group. So it just writes this section for you. It understands high, low heterogeneity and moderate. And then it also writes the individual study results as well, if you want that. So it's just a neat way of getting the results section written for yourself. We also have a regenerate button. So again, it just has a bit of a randomness to it, if you like. The final thing that's really kind of neat about it is if I go back to the review wizard and I come back to the results section, it also doesn't start. It puts that data into the result section of your review wizard. So now when I hit generate output, I've actually got some results with the meta-analysis in there as well. That's it. We got good help files for everything. If you have bugs, problems, whatever, contact us or just email us directly. The team at TERA Tools will come straight to this, all of us. Here under your profile is detail about yourself. Here are the credits. So if you're doing Mecha Screener, so the auto screener, if you're a subscriber, you get 10,000 and they recharge 10 every 45 minutes. If you're not a subscriber, you get 1,000 and you get 1 credit back every 45 minutes. So it equates to topping back up to 10,000 over a month. Yeah. If you want to cite us, hopefully there's a bunch of papers here you can cite for each of the different bits. Oof. All right, and that's it. Sorry, 7:09. I actually talked more this time than normal. But hopefully I'll be able to figure out a way to skim that down later. So that's every tool done. All of TERA done. I'm now going to go and answer the questions, but if you've had enough of TERA, there's no more tools to show or anything else. If those who want to hang around, please feel free as I'll do my best to answer questions in a sensible way. Hello, is there an institutional subscription? So that's asked by M. Talum. Unfortunately, sort of. We do offer them. So if you get in touch with us, we will offer an institutional subscription and a cost breakdown. Basically, it equates to about 80% cheaper if you get it via an institutional subscription than if your institutional all subscribe to it individually. We're not sure how that'll work out, but it's still a bit clunky. There's no automatic way to do it. So please just email us and we can, provide a quote for what an institutional subscription will cost. So Dali Al Samarani's asked, can we activate the subscription from Lebanon? Yes. I've never tried, I admit, but you should be able to. If TERA works for you and you can log on, create an account, you can activate the subscription from Lebanon or from almost every country. The one place it doesn't work is China because we use some Google technology called Firebase in it, and China blocks Firebase from working the Chinese government stops Firebase from working in China. We are looking at a workaround, but that'll take a few months away. So if you can create an account and if it loads for you, you can activate subscriptions. Ibrahim's asked, all the reviewers can edit or just want to create the project? Or maybe this task can be assigned. No, every reviewer who is on the project can edit the project. You don't assign people to different tasks. I mean, you do, but not through TERA. You do that by just asking them to do it, and then they do it. But every reviewer has the same access rights, and every reviewer can edit the methods wizard, upload files, download files, delete files as well. So be cautious about who you invite. But yeah, every reviewer has all the same access rights and to use all of the tools. In the review wizard, can you edit the guidance text? Oh, so that's from Caroline. It's an excellent question, and we wish the answer was yes, but at the moment it's no. but we would love to create a way so that you could modify and edit it and it would save, and even stuff like the commonly selected data you extract, commonly entered stuff you put in, the people you commonly work with, that it would over time, map back to your account. It's something we would love to do. At the moment, we don't have it in, but we would love it if we did. And it is a great idea if people could then also, modify everything as well. So we hope to do that eventually, but unfortunately, we don't have it in yet. So Judy's asked, do you use any other research question tools, e.g. Spider, or all different types of reviews plan using Picost? I think Scoping Review is used, the Scoping Wizard uses PCCTT. So I'm not a big scoping review person. I tend to focus more on systematic reviews. But whatever that is, problem something something. I don't know what PCCTT stands for, but so the Scoping Wizard uses that framework, not the Picost framework. Does TERA allow us different roles, directors or managers? No, I mean, it doesn't. You either create a project or you join a project. If you can create as many as you like, I think. But if you create a project, you get a little crown over your head and you're the first in the list. So I guess you have that. But there's no real different roles. Everyone's rights and access is all the same on the actual projects. There's no edit, there's no approval either. So you can't have someone do some work and submit to you to approve. Someone just does some work and makes some edits, and then edits are just made. Uh, sorry, Australians aren't very good at foreign names. Hopefully it's not too badly mangled. So Gavisi's asked, for Polyglot, are you going to develop translation for PsycInfo with API PsycNet, Eric, and IBSS? We would love to. All we need is someone to actually help us. So Lilacs, we recently added in when some systematic reviewers got in touch with us from the Brazilian Cancer Institute and said, hey, wouldn't it be great? It would be great if Lilacs was in there. And we said, yes, it would. Do you want to help us by providing us with the translations? And they, got their librarian involved as well. And they helped us and they filled out the translation spreadsheet that we have, and then we uploaded it. So we would love to put it in. So if there's anyone on this call or part of this webinar who would like to help us build in ERIC translations and would like to provide the translations to do ERIC, which I quite like, it's a neat database, we would love to work with you to add any database you like into Polyglot. Regina's asked, could you use information from reviewers like Pico and Mecascreener? Yes. Not yet, sorry. You can't yet, but once we've finished beta and we've got it working fine and got all the functionality in there, the next thing we'll do is we'll add autofill Pico from your review wizard. So that's coming, but it'll be a couple of months away, but yeah. So that'll be coming. You just press a button and it will just autofill the Pico from your review wizard. Caroline said, apologies, I have to leave. Thank you, Caroline. It's a shame. And yes, my apologies. I guess you've left, but anyway, still my apologies for going slightly over time. Lorena's asked, can the full text filtering stage be done in pairs in the application in any section? I mean, it can, and you can attach full text, but you can't attach full text to actual references yet, for various reasons, copyright and storage as well. Quite expensive for us to be storing thousands of PDFs for people. So you can still do it. So you can still screen, but you have to store the references, the PDFs separated from the actual references that you're screening. So I guess the answer is more sort of. I tend to still screen full text and EndNote anyway, though, to be honest. But then again, I'm also quite old, so who knows? Are there plans to include a tool for full text review? That's asked by João Pedro. Yes. That's not our next tool, but the next tool after that. Yeah, so we have some funding, thank God, to sort of do a little bit of work with PDFs. So we're maybe not yet, but in a month or two, we're going to start building in a PDF parser. So that's a tool that will, Gen AI, large language model tool that will process PDFs And then we're going to do some work around summarization and maybe auto abstract writing, but also full text screening. So yeah, it will be coming, we hope. So there are definite plans for it, but as I say, that's probably not till early next year, I think. Can the Prisma flowchart be generated? At the moment, unfortunately not. I know it's something people ask us a lot. We do have a prototype tool in place, which will be able to do that for you, and will also help and provide a bit more guidance through the review process. So yeah, it's coming. We don't have it yet, but it is coming. Paul has got to go. No worries. Thank you. Gold Coast Hospital, GCUH have a subscription. I don't think so yet. But we are meeting up with some people soon to talk about that. So at the moment, it doesn't. Although we do have a couple of subscribers from the Gold Coast Hospital that, good friends of ours or colleagues who've helped us with a lot of these tools, who have been given free subscriptions. So we'll see, and we'll investigate whether the Gold Coast Hospital is entitled to a free subscription. So the answer to that is maybe, and that will be decided by people higher on the food chain than me. So yeah, if you're planning on subscribing or want to subscribe and you're from the Gold Coast Hospital, I would suggest maybe just subscribing for the $10 a month at the moment, because maybe in a couple of months, Gold Coast will end up with a institutional subscription, and anyone based at the Gold Coast Hospital will get a free subscription. Or they may not, depending upon what the higher ups at the hospital and the universities decide. Uh, Thank you all. Thank you. Yes, you will get the recordings. I can't quite remember when, hopefully soon. Poor Melanie Vermeulen, whose name I also can't pronounce, does a lot of great work here helping me promote and do help out with workshops. She edits the webinars down a tiny bit before she puts them on YouTube and sends them around, but they will come around soon. Thank you, Amanda. And Marianne, Variety's asked, does Griffith have a subscription? No, it doesn't. But if Griffith want to get in touch, we can definitely provide one to them. Basically, if you're a Bond University person, though, you get free subscriptions. Just email us and we'll set it up. But at the moment, the only people with free subscriptions are people based at Bond University, which is where I'm based, who pay for a lot of this work. So. If you're a Bond person, please don't pay to subscribe. Get in touch with us, and we'll give you the free Bond subscription. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. 7:20 p.m. Not too bad. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna head home soon and have some dinner, unless there's any more questions. Thank you, Larissa. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I always quite enjoy them as well. They're always quite interesting, and always a few good questions too. All right. Thank you, Emily. I'm logging off because I'm starting to get hungry. Normally I hang around just in case, but I'm getting hungry. So, all right, I'll log off. Thank you all, and hopefully I'll see you around TERA in the future. All right, ciao.
Bye.